Salut, c'est Géraldine. Welcome to Comme une Française TV, Live in France, Feel at Home. As you see today, it's another special episode with an interview. I'm very honored to welcome Janine from The Good Life in France today. We've been talking about that for a month and I love what she does. On The Good Life in France, you have lots of stories, anecdotes and facts about France and the French people. As you will see in this video, I learned a lot about France and you will see I'm no expert about French history and French facts actually. As you will see as well, we had a few issues with the internet, so the sound is not so good from her side. I made my best to make it the best I can while editing the video. Try to put the sound at the maximum if you can. I will see you again at the end of the episode. Hi Janine, I'm very glad to have you on Comme une Française TV. We've known each other online for a long time because I love your community and your work on The Good Life in France. I'm very, very impressed. And I'm honored to at last have you on Comme une Française. Not everybody knows you yet, so could you present yourself and your work on The Good Life in France?
Sure. Hi Geraldine, and thank you so much for inviting me to be on here today. I'm a fan of yours as well, as you probably know. To tell you a bit about me, my name is Janine and I am a travel writer. I started The Good Life France about 3 years ago now when I came to France and completely fell in love with my area, with the people, with the countryside, the coast. And as I travel all over France, it seemed a really good opportunity to share my news and all the stories that I come across as I travel.
And when did you start The Good Life in France?
When did I
start The Good Life in France?
It was started round about the end of 2011. I just did one post. Everyone kept saying to me, tell us about your stories. I had worked in London in a bank. I was very corporate, high-heeled shoes and a briefcase every day. And when I came to France, nobody could believe it. And then I got chickens and cats and ducks and geese. And there was a program in the UK called The Good Life. And it was about a city couple who wanted to live a rural life. They called it the good life, la belle vie in French. And so everyone started calling me The Good Life France. So that's how I began it, 3 years writing about the good life in France. And it's just grown since then. The first month I got 480 people looking at my posts. Within 6 months I had 60,000 people and now it's just crazy.
It's a huge community. And we talked before this interview together and I was telling you that you are much more of a France expert than I am. I'm ashamed to say that, but that's because you're a foreigner and I know you visit everything. So can you share with us, like, for example, 5 places that you think are very, very interesting and not so touristy for people that live in France or are planning to come and visit?
That's so hard because actually, France is an enormous place, and I am sort of an expert because I travel all over the place, but no one can be a complete expert because there's so much to find out and there's so much to discover and explore. It's hugely diverse, France, but if you push me to pick 5 places, I would say Vatican, because that's where I live and it's so different. It has history and culture and heritage and patrimony and beautiful countryside and beautiful coastline. And I'd also say Burgundy because I think it's quite undiscovered. Dijon, the city of Burgundy, is so beautiful, so historic. And the countryside and the canal, there's so much to see there. And actually, I'd also say the Loire. The Loire Valley is very well known. You couldn't say it's not well known, but there's also the Vallée du Loire, which is next to it. And in that case, it means the Valley of the Dormouse. And I don't know why. It's the Loire without an E, which means dormouse.
Yeah.
And it's very, very beautiful. It's the Loire without the crowds. A chateau on every corner, the forest of Bercy. It's just so beautiful. And I would also say Alsace. Yes, it's very well known, but get in your car and go off the beaten track and just discover the vineyards and the people and the lifestyle. It's very, very beautiful. And even Provence.
Where?
Provence.
What's the city, did you say?
First Alsace and then Provence.
Alsace and Provence.
Yeah, so far apart, different places. Provence is very, very famous It's where everyone wants to go. But even there, you can discover something new, something different. So I'd just say come to France and just discover it.
So these were great places to visit in France. I want to go and visit them because I haven't. Sorry. And but some people come to Paris, for example, for a long weekend. What places would you recommend in Paris?
I think if you come to Paris for a long weekend, if you've never been before, then you have to see the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah.
It's a cliche, but it's such a good cliche. And of course, you have to see the Arc de Triomphe, and you have to see all the famous sites. But also, I would say, go somewhere like the Paris Opera House, Palais Garnier, and take a backstage tour to see a piece of history and a legend, because that is where the Phantom of the Opera was born. And you can, he still has a seat in the Opera House. They keep a seat.
Really?
They keep a seat reserved for the Phantom. And I just think to see a legend like that is so different, and it just brings Paris back to you. If you have 3-4 days and you want to get out of the city, it can get very hot in the summer, for instance, then I'd say take a day trip somewhere like Giverny. It doesn't take very long to get to from Paris. You see a different side, get back in time for dinner when it's cooled down a bit, maybe, a glass of wine outside a terrace cafe. It's the perfect life, isn't it? It's it's Paris.
And do you like Les Catacombes, for example? I love this place.
Yeah, it's really different. It's it's the belly of Paris, isn't it? It's the underside of Paris, and it's an incredible place to see. There's so many different places. The catacombs, the Museum of Romantic Life, tiny little museum that has the most beautiful little garden, like a little oasis in the city. And when it's hot, when there's crowds, when you need a break, just go and sit in their garden and have a lovely, cool tea or a coffee and calm down. It's beautiful. Or the vineyards. There's vineyards in Paris as well.
In Montmartre, isn't it?
Yeah, actually there are 5 in total, but the Montmartre one is so well known. And it's beautiful to go there as well. Very cool to see all the green and growth in the city at the top of the hill. Beautiful. So many places.
And you're right. I think during a trip to Paris, it's important to take some time to relax, take some time off, because it can be overwhelming to try and see everything.
Yes, I saw a funny video yesterday. It was 3 men from England. They wanted to do 10 things in one day in Paris, and they were literally on their bikes, cycling from one thing to another, and they were absolutely exhausted. And they said, actually, we don't recommend to do this, but it was very funny to watch them do it. You can't do everything in one day. If the Louvre is on your list of things to do, that's going to take you nearly all day long, just that one place. So,
yeah.
And you can see it all.
And I think that if you just to see the Mona Lisa, it can be a bit disappointing, because there's so many people around it that you can't even really see it or get close to it. So if it's not the number one thing you want to see, it's better maybe not to do the Louvre, or to really focus on another L of the museum.
I would totally agree with you. There's so much to see in the museum. I know when I saw the Mona Lisa the first time, it's behind a glass sheet. It's hard to see, and the expectation is so high for us that when you see it, it can be...
It's disappointing.
Yes. But the beautiful building is not disappointing.
Oh, it's wonderful. And you can picnic in the garden.
Yes. Picnic in the garden. Look at it from up high. Go somewhere where you can look down on the Louvre building. You will not be disappointed by that. It's so beautiful.
Absolutely. I know that you've been living here for a while now, and by visiting so much, you know a lot. And I was wondering, how did you see yourself going from tourist to local? Because you're almost a local now. What was the hints telling you, I'm not a tourist anymore?
That's a really hard question. I live in a very small village. There are 142 people and about 1,000 cows. And my village is very traditional, very rural. In fact, my neighbor, Remy, he comes from a village 5 kilometers away.
That's normal here.
he says, I don't feel like a local. Because people say, oh, he's not a local from our village. He comes from down the road. So I'm not. It's true. I'm not sure I will ever be a complete local, but I do know that when I go into the bar in the village and everyone knows my name and everyone shakes my hand when I walk in there or kisses me on the cheek, and then I get so many questions from people about where is the déchetterie? Where is the rubbish tip? How do I find out when the shop is open? How do I know where to go to fill in my tax forms? So in that respect, I suppose I feel like a local and an expert because so many people ask me so many questions. And also where to go, what to see, hotels, restaurants. And I'm learning all the time. I never, ever have a day off. It feels like I never have a day off because everywhere I go, I take notes, I take photographs, and I share them with people. So it's not like a real job. It's not like I can say I'm working all the time, but I never really switch off because I always think there's more to share, more to tell people, more to write about. So for me, I guess I'm a local and I'm a tourist at the same time. Because I have to think with my tourist head, what is interesting, what do you want to know about.
But can we say in a way that you became kind of a local when you linked with other people in your neighborhood? If everybody knows you, it makes you a bit of a local.
Yes, absolutely. And I know that I have a nickname as well. And I don't know if that's something that they do all over France, but certainly in the north of France, nicknames are really common. So like my neighbor is Monsieur Partout, Mr. Everywhere, because everywhere you go,
he's there.
And I hate to say, I hope this is okay to say what my nickname is, but it's Madame Merde, which is not very nice. But
why?
The reason is we have a septic tank, and where I live in rural France, we don't have mains drains. And when I first moved here, we had to have the septic tank dealt with, emptied, and the farmer arrived with his big truck and his helper, and he put the pipe into the septic tank, and basically they empty it and take it all away. But the helper pushed the button to blow instead of suck. And imagine. And so the farmer was screaming at the helper, and the helper was screaming at the farmer, and my neighbour started to come in. I got bottles of beer out, and I just said, "Hi, I'm Janine. I've just moved here."
Hello.
Yes. So that's what my life is like. Stories of things going wrong, but you learn from it, and you laugh with your neighbours, and we all help each other out. And I guess that's another thing about being a local is you learn to help each other.
And we said that being a local is sharing some things with your neighbors, links and help. But you know how it is, you get to have your favorite singer, TV program. So can you share this real program that you like, or singer, or radio, or magazine, for example? Because we know the touristy answers, but what are your answers after 10 years in France?
Okay, the biggest thing I would tell anyone coming to France, if you want to live here or you want to fit in like a local, like I do, you have to learn to dance le Madison.
Because of weddings.
Weddings, parties, anywhere where people get together to celebrate, someone always plays le Madison.
That's true.
Yeah. But nobody ever knows what this song is. So I found out what it is. And it's basic for anyone who wants to do this. It's a line dance. There is a video tutorial on YouTube. It looks really easy, but I promise you, I was at a party last Saturday and I decided I could do Le Madison. I thought I could do it. So I got up and I went to the front of the line. And then when I did the dance and when I turned around, everyone else was facing the other way, all the way through the dance. I couldn't do it. But it doesn't matter because the whole point of Le Madison is to enjoy yourself and be part of the group. When I first came here, I met a DJ, a radio DJ, who was a specialist in French music. So I do know quite a lot about French music, but I absolutely love Charles Trenet and Boom. I just love that song. And I find French people are so loyal to singers and musicians. If you like a musician or a singer, you will love him forever, French people. In the UK and America, we're so much more fickle. We like them sometimes and sometimes we don't. You like them all the time, like Johnny Halliday. Seriously, how long has Johnny Halliday been around? But he's
100 years.
Yes, but he's the biggest star that France has. So I find that a really quirky thing about the French, but I also find the fact that you're so loyal to people is a really charming personality thing for French people. It's
Really?
True. Yes, I do. Like on my Facebook, if French people like me on Facebook, they like me forever, whereas other people might click off and they like me for a little while I'm posting a picture of Provence. When I post a picture of Normandy, they don't want to see me anymore. That doesn't happen very much, but French people love you forever when they love you once. That's what I find.
And this happens in friendship as well. We hear a lot that French people are hard to be friend with, but the thing is, once you're friend with us, you're friend forever. So this is why it takes more time, because we're so. Do you do fidel? No, fidèle in English.
Fidelity.
Yeah, faithful, or I don't know how you say that, but it's forever. So it's slow, but you can trust us that we'll become friends.
Actually, I think that's quite nice because it's very difficult to become best friends immediately you meet someone. That often doesn't last very long. If you build up to it so that you know you have common interests, common goals, you have shared things between you and you build up to that. I quite like that. One of the things I really find strange, though, is that if you kiss someone, if you faire la bise, you have to kiss them forever. So you
yes,
can't,
of course.
I made lots of mistakes like that when I came. Sometimes I would kiss my neighbour, another time I would shake hands with them, and I could see they were confused, but I didn't. Now I do know better. So if anyone kisses a French person, remember you have to kiss them forever as well.
Yeah, because if you shake hands, it would mean that you are adding a layer of formality to your relation, which doesn't make sense because you're just as neighbors as you were before.
Yes, it's true.
So you
and
told us
also
about
the bonjour thing.
Yeah, tell me.
Sometimes I see my neighbors and I say bonjour, and then I see them on the way back and I say bonjour again, and they say no, re-bonjour.
Yeah.
So many little quirky things that you have to learn in France, but it's great. I love it.
The bonjour thing is so classic.
Is it?
Yeah. It's so everybody makes that mistake. And from readers, I see that when I made the video, don't say bonjour twice. Lots of people saying, okay, I understand why my colleagues are looking at me weirdly when I say bonjour 10 times a day. Yes, that's why.
It's not just the language, is it? It's a lifestyle thing, which is why I like your videos so much, because you don't just tell me how to order a cup of coffee, you tell me why I have to say it like that. So it's no good me saying je voudrais un tasse de café avec du lait. It means nothing. If I go un Americano, une Americaine, they will understand what I'm saying. So it's not just words, it's lifestyle.
It's everything. So you told us about Charles Trenet that you love. Do you have anyone that's alive?
Anyone that's alive?
Because Charles Trenet and Mireille Mathieu are the cliches of French singing. Let's be honest.
The French charts. Well, I quite like Lily and the Prick this year, but I love that song. It's really, really classic. And so if you want a bit of fun, feel good in the morning, that's a really good one to put on, I find. So we would say it's a bit Eurotrash, some of the music, but I really love the fact that it's upbeat music, French music on the whole. It puts you in a good mood. It's really good fun. It doesn't pretend to be anything else other than fun music. So stick the radio on. I listen to Radio Nostalgie.
Yeah.
Quite a lot. And I quite like that too.
What's good with Nostalgie is that it's mostly old songs that are very, very much part of the popular culture. So everybody knows them, and 70% will be on weddings as well. Because music on weddings, it's always the same, and it's always songs from Nostalgie. And everybody knows them by heart.
Well, I'm trying to learn them. It's quite hard though. Some
Uh,
easier than others. The older ones are easier than the new ones for me. And a lot of the new ones are very English as well. There's lots of English language in them. Not
yeah.
quite.
So we talked about culture, but let's go back to food. Is there any patisserie or cheese that's not so known, so well known that you would like to share with us? Because I know you're an expert on cheese.
Well, I eat a lot of cheese. Does that make me an expert if I eat a lot of cheese?
I think so.
And I eat a lot of cakes as well. You can't help it in France. I love the cheese histories. For me, it tastes better because there's a history behind it. So if I go to a restaurant and I'm having mussels with a cheese sauce, and it will be something like reblochon, and someone will tell you the history of reblochon, that people made this cheese to avoid paying taxes. So they would milk the cows twice. They would milk once when the man came, and then they would milk again when the taxman had gone, and then they'd make the cheese with it. And things like Valençay cheese, there's so many legends. Did Napoleon cut the top of this pyramid-shaped cheese? Or did his minister to avoid upsetting him because he just lost a fight at Egypt? I don't know. Nobody really knows, but there are so many legends. I love that. In terms of what I like, I really love goat's cheese. And that's because in my village, there's a lady, we all call her the goat lady.
La femme chèvre.
Goats, and she makes cheese, and it's simply amazing. It's so authentic. She makes it with love. I don't think she makes any money from this. She just loves to do it, and you can go down there and help her milk the goats, and I've helped make cheese as well, and you can buy it when it's 2 days old. It's so fresh. It's just seductive, to be honest. It's intoxicating, this cheese. It's beautiful. And if I have to talk about cakes, well, I like them all. My favourite is probably opera cake.
It's with chocolate.
Yes.
Dark chocolate is really good.
It's a beautiful cake. It's not just the taste, it's the look. It was named opera cake because it's named after the stage at the Opera House in Paris. The baker's wife
had no idea about that.
The baker's wife said the layers of the cakes, they look like the stage. And if you look at the Opera House stage, you will see that's so true. And my worst cake is the Doigt de Charles Quint, which is the finger of Charles V.
Yeah.
He was the Spanish emperor, and he was a rival to France. And he had gout, which is the disease gout. And he died from it. And when he died, they cut off his finger, one finger, and they mummified it, which they did in those days. It was 500 years ago. And they mummified the finger of Charles V. And today you can buy a cake in France called the finger of Charles V, which is a big, long, red jam in it.
Oh, that's awful. And where can you buy that? In which city? Because it seems regional, no?
Well, you can certainly buy it everywhere where I live in the north of France.
Okay.
We'll send you a photograph after this, and then you can see for yourself that it looks just... which I find quite bizarre. But we like our fingers cakes here. We also have the finger of Jean Bart, who was like a sailor musketeer who worked for the king. He's very famous in Dunkirk, and we also have his fingers too.
Oh, okay. It's great when you're visiting France to try regional pâtisserie and viennoiserie as well, because there's so many here. We have La Croix de Savoie, which is a cross with crème pâtissière in it. I love it. But you cannot find it anywhere else because it's from the Alps.
I think everywhere has their own regional specialities, and that's another thing that makes France so great. In the UK, you probably find the same kinds of shops in every major town. In France, I don't find that's the case. You can find one particular cake in a bakery in a town. You won't find it anywhere else because the bakers are artisans and they're specialists, and so they create and they invent as they go along. So these things are very specialist. And sometimes people say, oh, the cakes are quite expensive. And I say to them, took that baker many years to work out how to make that cake. He might have been making macarons for 18 months and nothing else, so that he became the macaron master. So I think you're buying a piece of history and gastronomic expertise. It's brilliant. Eat cakes, that's what I say. I'm a cake monkey.
And it's good, so there is no excuse to look for. We talked about all these specialties and visits, but about learning French. How did you learn French, and do you have tips for the audience who want to improve their French?
Well, I first learned it at school, which is normal. UK, we learn French, and in France, you learn English at school generally. I'm quite good at languages, but I'm not good at reading books and studying that way. So I find that if I do an online course and I listen to someone speak it, I can pick it up reasonably well. So it's fun. If I'm bored by something in a book or a way of learning, then I don't go back to it. So I need something that's really fun, that speaks to me, that's quite quick, that I feel is real. So that works really well for me online. And also living here, I have to speak to people every day. But they do speak a patois here where I live. They speak ch'ti. Have you ever heard?
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
I don't speak it, but I know about it.
There's a very famous film, the most famous film, biggest grossing film in France was Bienvenue chez les Ch'tis. If you've never seen it, watch it. It's a brilliant film.
Yeah, that's what we can tell to the audience as well. If you haven't watched it, watch it. It's very, very easy to understand. The story is about a guy from the south of France who has to move for work to the north of France. He works on La Poste, the post office, and he doesn't want to go because he thinks that people are awful, everybody's poor and stupid, which is unfortunately some of the images on popular culture that people have from the north. Just as other pictures we have from the south, the east, the west, everybody has a bad image of others. But here it's so funny because he finds out, obviously, that French people from the north are so nice and super kind, and the weather is not that bad, and he has lots of fun, and everything's funny. So if you have the opportunity to watch this movie, go on. It's very easy to understand. It's very modern and very fun.
It is, and people are a bit like that. Obviously, it was exaggerated for the film, but they are the friendliest people in France. And actually, after Paris, this region has more museums than any other region in France. It's massively cultural. I love that about it. So many museums, so many beautiful libraries here. It's a really cultural place. So totally wrong, anyone who thinks that about the north of France. And it does rain, but it rains in the south too. So that happens.
And Lille is a wonderful city. Very, very cultural. Very cultural.
It's a beautiful city. And did you know that Lille train station used to be the old Gare du Nord in Paris? When they renewed the Gare du Nord Paris station, they took it down and they brought it to Lille and they re-erected it. So we have our own little bit of Paris. And in fact, Lille is like a mini Paris in some ways, I think. Another thing you didn't know, huh?
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm going to say. Every time I read something on The Good Life in France, I discover something. So that's really good.
But that's my job.
You have a magazine as well, online. And can you tell us more about it? Because I think the latest issue is last week.
Yes.
So can you tell us and the audience a little bit more about this online magazine?
Sure. It's a new adventure. I have the website. It's a huge website, more than 2,000 pages now, and lots of writers. But a lot of the website is very small chunks of information. And I, as a writer, I like to write longer pieces, sometimes more stories. And also I appreciate that people like to read more about France in one go, rather than finding lots of little bits. So I also write for other newspapers and magazines in the UK. So I'm experienced on how to write for magazines. And I thought I would just do my own. So that's my new adventure. And it's gone so well. I'm really, really thrilled. It's thousands and thousands of subscribers, thousands of downloads. It's completely free. So I'm really happy with it. I'm really excited. It's such a huge project, but really, really good fun.
That's really cool. So for the audience, if you want to read that magazine, it's free. And I will put the link below the video, obviously, so you can have a look. It's really great. and you will see me somewhere in the middle.
I told you that some people have been emailing me, PR companies in the UK. They said your video is genius.
Thanks. That's really nice. So thank you, Janine. It was great having you on Comme une Française at last. We've been waiting for that for such a long time. So for the audience, go and read the magazine. It's free, no subscription, nothing. I will put the link below the video. Have a very nice day. I hope the rain stops and you have some sun. And I wish you a very good day.
Thank you very much. Au revoir.
Au revoir. Hi again. I hope you liked this episode and you learned as many things as I did. In the comments, it would be wonderful if you had facts or nice stories or places to visit that you could share with the community, because we don't talk much about this on Comme une Française, and I think it's missing. So if you have places you love and you want to share with the community, facts about food or music or anything you love and you want to share with us, go on, share it in the comment, and I will see you there. Allez, à la semaine prochaine. Salut!